Yo, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So really quick today, I just want to work on my truck. I just want to change the spark plugs, do a little quick tune-up, clean the throttle body a little bit. I feel like it's getting kind of sluggish, and I haven't done a tune-up to the truck, so I think right now would be a good time to show you guys how to remove this intake manifold, because to get to the spark plugs on this V6, you have to remove the intake manifold. So I want to go ahead and do that today since I got a little bit of extra time. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, here we go. 2009 Chevy Traverse. I'll put a link to another video that I did on this truck up here on the top right of your screen. It's on a P0420 or P0430 that has to do with the catalytic converter, which I changed on this truck. And today I want to go ahead and do a tune-up on this. I'm going to go ahead and change the spark plugs, and I'll show you guys the procedure for this. Not too difficult on this 3.6 liter engine. Remove this top cover, and then there's a couple bolts for the intake to come off. Then we can access our coils and our spark plugs. Bank 1, for those of you that want to know, it's back there. Bank 2 is over here close to the radiator. So today we're going to be taking off the intake, then we're going to be removing the spark plugs, the coils, and this is a good video for everybody to watch this if this is something that you're going to be doing. This is the same engine that is on the GMC Acadia, the Buick Enclave. I think this model year, this engine goes from 2009 all the way to 2015 or 16. I may be wrong, but either way, the procedure should not be that difficult, and it's pretty much the same for a lot of newer cars, because on a lot of newer cars, to get to the spark plugs, you got to remove the intake manifold. So let's get right to it. Come on, man. Alright, so I'm going to start right here just by yanking on this top engine cover. All you got to do is pull up on it. Actually, before you do that, remove the oil cap, because that's actually holding it in place. Then, you can pull it up. Just a simple engine cover that they use on a lot of these engines. We'll put it to the side, and I'll put this back, just so that I won't forget. And as you can see, it's pretty dark in here, so what I'm going to use is my handy Astro 30SL, which you guys seen on plenty of other videos that I've made. So I'll put that over here. The hard thing about using this light is that a lot of these fucking cars today are made out of plastic, so it's hard to find a good metal, even this, it's hard to find a good metal surface for me to stick this magnetic light. I can use it on top of the hood. That actually works pretty well. I think I'm gonna do that. Oh shit. So let me show you what's happening here. I got the Astro light giving us some good downlight, so now we can see clearly up here in this engine base. So pretty much what I'm going to be doing is removing this hose right here, that hose there. I'm going to move this harness out of the way, move this harness out of the way, and then we have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 13mm bolts that are holding that in. We're going to disconnect everything from the throttle body, and then once we have this apart and then there's nothing holding it over here, then we can remove the 6 bolts. Our intake manifold will come up, and then we'll have access to our spark plugs. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm just going to start by taking this hose off. So get this hose and get it out of the way. A good thing to have when you're working on an engine like this is for you to have some bungee cords, so that the bungee cords will help you keep shit like this out of the way. What I like to do is also, if I'm able to hook it around something like this brake master cylinder right here, I can hook it right there if the hose wants to keep coming back this way, but I think it'll stay here. I'm gonna go ahead and start with this purge valve connector. The hose just has 2 little chingaderas here that you pinch, and then you pull this out of the way, and then this I think it's a PCV valve blow by chingadera. So this is the way that works. It has a little clip right there. You just pull that this way, pull this little clip this way, and it undoes it up in here. See if you guys can see that. And then you can just pull it up. Alright, so save this, put it somewhere where you won't forget, because if you have a vacuum leak, it'll make the engine run like crap. So I'm going to take off this 8mm, or you can use a flathead screwdriver to remove this little nut for the clamp. This job right here doesn't require a lot of tools. That's a good thing. I'm just going to leave that right there. It's already disconnected from the throttle body, so I'm just going to let it hang right there, and it should be good. It won't be in the way of us removing the rest of the stuff. So I'll be using my Milwaukee 3/8 fuel brushless ratchet today. This is one of my best investments that I've made this past year. They have the first generation. I think I already talked about this. If you guys want to go ahead and watch that unboxing video, I'll put a link in the description, or I'll put a link up here on the top right of your screen so you can see that. If you guys have hand tools will work, no problem. This just makes it a lot faster. Take this 10mm out. Now usually if I'm working on a car like this, what I'll do, like say I take off the 10mm from here, I'll go ahead and put it straight up over here. If I'm working down this way, then I'll put the bolts right here. If I'm working this way, then I'll put the bolts over here. And this way, when I'm putting everything back, I know where to grab the bolts from, and they'll go back in the correct place. This little shit right here just pops out of place, so we're gonna use our little clip remover and just pop it up, and it should just pop up. Now there's a little O-ring there. If you find that that O-ring is fucked up, then you want to go ahead and change it. And that might give you a vacuum leak and make your engine run like crap, so keep an eye on that one too. I'm gonna swing it over to the left, and I'm gonna leave it there. Now we can swing this harness this way. And if I had some bungee cords, I can use bungee cords over here to help me put this shit this way, but I don't have any. The 6 bolts that are on top of the intake are 13mm. Okay, so I'm gonna be using my 13mm to take those off. I'll be using an extension with it. First thing I'm gonna do is break it loose. Okay, I'm gonna break all of them loose. Now if you're afraid of breaking your ratchet, and then it's probably because you got a cheap one, so I do recommend, what the heck? I do recommend that you go buy a good quality ratchet. There's a connector for the throttle body back here too. Back here behind the throttle body, there's a connector that you want to go ahead and remove. I just felt it right now. I'll go ahead and do that in a little bit. But there's another bolt that's hidden back here behind the throttle body. In order for me to access the 13mm that's right there, I have to remove this connector that's right here, connecting the connector for the throttle body. So I gotta move that out of the way in order for me to reach the 13mm bolt that's hidden down there. So to get to that 13mm bolt, I'm gonna use a longer extension on this 13mm socket, and I'm just gonna grab it, and now it's ready to come out. Now we can just remove all the bolts. Okay, if you guys don't have a cordless ratchet like this, I highly recommend you get one. It's gonna be one of the best investments you can make. Because if you guys see, I actually have a 30-gallon compressor with 175 psi output, and I got it because I started working at home. But as soon as I figured out that these cordless ratchets were coming out, this compressor rarely gets any use unless I'm doing big jobs and I need to put some good impact on these nuts. But other than that, this compressor just chills there and looks good. But it's a good compressor, don't get me wrong. Okay, so I got all the bolts loose now. You don't have to take them off all the way. You can if you want to, but if you do, just make sure that you know where they go. So for example, these two are long on the intake. The one that goes behind the throttle body, it's a pretty short one. Okay, so I'll put those up there. These probably won't come out all the way because of, oh, they do. Get all those out all the way. So here you go. Again, just make sure you know where they go. Another piece of harness that it's clipped onto the intake right here. So when you start taking it off, do it slowly in case you miss something. You don't want to yank and break any electrical connections or hoses that might still be on the intake. So we'll put that to the side. Okay. There it is. Intake manifold is out. And this is what we're looking at now. So we have our intake gasket. Highly recommend that you replace this intake gasket if you're going to be removing the intake, because after a while these little gaskets in here, since they're made out of plastic, they start getting flat. I can still feel a little bit of a ridge there, so I'm gonna leave mine as is. But now I have access to my coils, 3 coils that are down here on bank 2, and I have access to 3 coils that are back there. See if I can light you up right there. So that'll be cylinder 1, 3, and 5 over there. 3 coils, and I'll show you how to take those off right now. That's our next step. What I do recommend is that you put some rags up in here or some kind of paper towels so that nothing falls in there, any bolts, any dirt and debris, and nothing gets in there into the intake valves. So the way you take off these coils is over here where the nut is. On this side of the nut, on the connector there's a little plastic retainer. What you want to do is get a flathead like this, and you want to stick the flathead over here on the left side of the coil and move that over to the left. Remember, this has to move to the side where the nut is, and you want to slide it all the way to the left until it clicks. Once it clicks, then you're ready to slide your connector out. So make sure it's all the way to the left, clicks, and then you can slide the connector out of the way and you're safe. And the same thing when you're going back in, push it all the way in and then push this tab all the way out, all the way back in. And I'll do the same thing over here just so you can see it one more time. All the way left, help it out, and then pull your connector out of the way. Just like that. Alright, so I'm going to take those coils out. It's 310 millimeters. We'll pull them out, and then we'll do the same thing for the back coils. Then we're ready to access our spark plugs. The good thing about these nuts is that they don't come all the way off. So there's no chance of you dropping them and losing them. They actually stay attached to the coil, and that's actually a good design. So we're going to do the same thing for this one. Once you notice that the nut or bolt stops backing out, then you can just pull on the coil, twisting left and right gently, and pull it out of the way. And we're going to do the same thing for this one. Boom, so it pops. I'm going to do the same thing for the back coils, and then alright, now it's time to change the spark plugs. I'm going to do that. I'm only going to show you one bank because it's the same thing for the other bank. Alright, beautiful. So there's the second spark plug. I'm not one to read spark plugs, but spark plug number 2 is out, and here's spark plug number 3. Not necessarily cylinder 3, but spark plug number 3 is out, and you can see these are original AC Delcos, OE manufacturer. They still look okay to me, but I might as well change them now, you know. Alright, so there it is. 3 plugs are out. Now we're gonna go with the back 3 spark plugs, and we're gonna continue working here. Alright, so you guys just saw me put the 3 spark plugs in the back. Here's a little behind the scenes of my setup. So I got my phone on a time lapse. That's what you guys just saw. And I have my Astro light over there lighting me up so you guys can get good lighting on this video. But one thing I want to show you guys is on these ignition coils. If you look closely on where the bolt is, there is a stamp right there, and there's actually a date on these coils, and that says September 23rd of 2008. And it's the same for these other coils. So these 3 coils have the same date, so I kept them together. The coils that are in the back, which you guys just saw me put in, 2 of those coils have a date of 2017, and 1 coil doesn't have anything on there. I think I remember changing one, and it was an aftermarket, and the other 2 were changed under warranty by the dealership because I still had it under powertrain warranty. But I did it this way so that if I ever have a misfire or anything happening, I'll know that it's either one of the coils that has already been changed, or it's going to be one of these coils that I'm going to put in the front on cylinders 2, 4, and 6. And this way, it'll just give me a better idea of what's going on with the coils and what it is and whatnot. Just a quick tip for you guys that want to know if your coils have ever been changed. Or at least on these, there's a timestamp or a date stamped on there, and that'll give you a good idea. And just a heads up for you guys. If you guys like this setup, give it a thumbs up. Now I'm going to continue working on these front 3 coils and plugs, and then we'll put the intake back, and then we'll start it up, and hopefully everything turns out good. As you can see, the intake manifold is back in, And we can go ahead and start this truck now. But before I do, I want to go ahead and show you everything I used to make this video happen, to make this intake spark plug replacement happen. So pretty much my phone over here with the setup, right? I went ahead and used this Milwaukee cordless ratchet, this clip remover, only 3 sockets, a 13mm, a 10, and an 8. The 13 for the intake bolts, the 10 just for that one nut and the coils. The 8, I use it for that the band clamp on the air intake hose. You can use a flathead screwdriver, you really don't need this. I used a spark plug socket and a couple of extensions. So all in all, this is all you're gonna need to do your spark plugs on a 2009 Chevy Traverse. And it's pretty simple. I mean, a lot of people are afraid, or they're kind of iffy when it comes to removing the intake manifold, but it's not that hard. It's only a couple bolts. In this case, it's only 6 bolts, a couple of hoses you got to remove, a couple electrical connectors. Just make sure that everything's routed back in. Like I said, this car's ready to go. This truck is ready to get started. So we're gonna go ahead and crank it up and take it for a little test drive. But that's it for this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Give it a like if you guys like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and if you're new to the channel, I want to welcome you guys, because we're going to be dropping more videos soon. I got a lot more coming, and that's it. Peace out, guys. Take care.